of this. 2.5 hours into the fucking video. We're going to start putting these guys where they are. I'm going to say, and we're going to start with TKZ and friends. I'm going to put these guys in the D tier. Now, they're still in the game. They're in the game. They're in the mix. But they're lower down. We haven't seen a real resurgence of... If Taylor became champ, maybe I'd put them at C tier and say, oh, there's an era on the horizon. But I'm going to put them at D tier for now. We also have the Chicanos, fronted by AB the Enforcer. I'm going to put them at C tier. They litter the division. Not litter. They are in the division. They litter the division. I don't mean anything by it. They litter the division. They're around in the rankings, lower end of the rankings, and outside the rankings in the featherweight, lightweight, bantamweight division. David Martinez has got a big fight with Imam Nurmagomedov coming up. They're just more of them in the sport, and they're doing quite well. They haven't achieved much yet and haven't achieved much for a long time, but they're doing okay, and they're making their slow, steady pace in the lower ends of the UFC weight classes. The squatting Slavs, they've had historic success. They've got a few in each of the rankings with the Polish fighters and the Yugoslavian fighters and other Eastern European fighters. I don't know where you want to put Yaroslav Amosov, maybe with the Caucasus guys, but he is Ukrainian, but his name's Amosov, so it's a Russian name, so it's one of those things. But I'd put them in B tier. I think they're in B tier right now. When Stipe was on top and Jan Blachowicz had a belt as well, different time, of course, very different time. But right now, I'd put them at B tier. We're waiting to see that next wave of them come through. The YN Association. I'm also going to put them at B tier right now. No champions at all. No real top contenders. Losing a bunch of the big fights recently that they've been put into. And Garnu's doing his thing, but now on Netflix MMA, so they're kind of costed by that. Historical success, yes. But if we play historical, the Brazilians and the white Americans, I mean, there was a time in the sport when it was literally only white Americans. So it's, and then it was a time when it's Jones and, DC and Demetrius. They've had some goats. They've had some success. But right now in the sport, not much going on. But there's always a couple of them in the division. Always a couple of them here and there in the top 15 or the top 10. So I'd put them there. They've got sort of... They're now in the position to have... I remember a time when O'Malley was breaking on the scene where he was at the Great White Hope, they were saying. When he first came in, everyone was, oh, you're overhyping him. He's Great White Hope. But now Teba Gutierrez is kind of the Great Black Hope. Like, is he going to be a guy who can actually be a contender? Because unless Usman goes on a late run... the fall off is real right now, like I guess we're waiting for the next wave to come through. But right now in the sport and over the past however many years and in the current era, it seems to just be Caucasians versus whites for the championship fights and Brazilians in that mix as well. We move on to the boys and co. I'm going to put us in between A tier and B tier here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put us in A tier because I have someone else that I want to be in A tier. But we've got champs. We've got a lot of top contenders. We're always in the mix. We're always in the big fights. We're winning a lot of the big fights. Strickland gets it over Chimaev. Volkanovski's doing his thing. Maybe the Slav should come up higher. I didn't even think about Volkanovski. North Macedonia, is that a Slav? I don't really know what to say. But we're in the mix. Duplessis was champ. Until recently, JDM was champ recently, until Makhachev beat him, and now Prates just beat him. Sean O'Malley's still in the mix, But we're separating it into, like, Eastern European white guys. Caucasians are now different than white guys. And Western European white guys. The white that you think of when you think of a white guy. I'd say we're between A and B tier in the current era of MMA. Tom Aspinall, heavyweight champ. It is, we are doing pretty well right now. I think it's like a new era for us where we're doing a lot better in the sport. And then we've got Alex Pereira, the Brazilians. I'd say A tier for the Brazilians. They're doing sick. Pantoja, is, you could still argue, is right there at championship level at flyweight. Oliveira is one of the greatest fighters in the sport right now. Not the best fighter in the sport, but definitely up there in terms of a current great fighter that we have doing this thing in the sport right now. There's always one of them in each division, it seems, doing their thing. There's others. Gene Silva coming up at featherweight. Diego Lopez is Brazilian as well, as a phenotype of a man. So he's there in the featherweight division. Then you've got lightweight Oliveira, some other guys up and down the division. Moicano's still doing his thing as an unk. Welterweight Prates paving his way towards a title shot potentially. You know, amongst some Gabriel Bonfirms fighting Bilal Muhammad coming up soon. You name the division. Paulo Costa's resurging at light heavyweight. Pereira's doing his thing as moving on to potentially be a GOAT of the sport if he pulls it off against Cyril Gane. They've got shit going on in every division. So for that reason, I'm putting him at A tier, just above the boys and co. Other than that, we've got S tier for the Caucasians. No doubt about it. And the main thing that this comes into play with is, yes, listen, Merab just had a great era. Jan's a part of them, you know, being a half Georgian and being from that region of Russia and then being Eastern Russian with the Chinese mixed in. You can include Jan in that mix. But Ilia Topuria is, when you think about the two top level fighters in the sport right now, you think about Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. And they're both from the same cliff. Both their genetics go back to the same cliff. And it is insane to think about. Really insane. Umar Nurmagomedov at bantamweight and Merab Dvalishvili at bantamweight as well. They're from the two sides of the same cliffs. Two sides of the same. It's a really niche sample. A very low population count, which I think is definitely something that you have to consider here, is population. And how many. I mean, there's billions of some groups here, right? Billions. Barely any success. Billions, not much success right now, but some historic good success. There's literally over 1 billion Indians. They have no fighters on the roster. And then you consider these guys, what? How many tens of millions are there of them in the world? I don't really know the populations of that whole place, but I mean, I have no idea really, but tens of millions around the world, we're talking? Of that region. And there's so many of them at the top of the sport right now. Ankalaev still at light heavyweight, by the way. Ankalaev is still at light heavyweight, not in the title mix right now, but soon to be with a big win. If he gets a win over Khalil Roundtree, I'm sure he'll be looking for a title shot in that division. It's one of those things, dude. These guys are killing it right now in the sport. And Makhachev was doing his thing at flyweight before they got rid of him. And that's kind of an unjust way of getting rid of some competition, just cutting him like that when he probably would have gone on and challenged in some great fights for titles. So yeah, good stuff. That's the tier list right there. I did not think this video was going to be 2.5 hours long. I'm sorry. I hope that you tuned in with me the whole time. No hard feelings. We went through it all. It is what it is. You know, hopefully you had some good laughs and good chuckles. And, you know, this just normalizes it. We've all got our things. We're all different. You know? And that's okay.
I've spent a lot of time, Joe, slating everybody in the company. Backstage, I'm starting fights off everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the